You're watching NFL Daily, and we are live here on Wednesday. And I don't know about you, I want you to go ahead and support the show, and I want you to follow us on Rumble. When I was a kid, if you looked at me and you said, Mitch, no balls you won't, I ended up doing it. So follow us on Rumble. No balls you won't. If you're looking for extra content from Chat Sports, that's where you're going to be able to find it. Plus, we go live on Rumble, and we even drop exclusive videos over there. So go ahead and give us a follow, rumble.com/NFL Daily. Let's go to the first question here. It's from Tim Hapfox. Hashtag NFL trade idea. Giants trade James Bradberry, I think you mean, and the 7th for DK Metcalf. Thoughts? So, Coop, if you could make that up for me. I know that there was a report that came out that apparently they turned down the number 10 overall pick from the Jets. I don't necessarily believe that. What's interesting about this trade is the Giants were trying to get a number 1 receiver in Kenny Golladay, though Kenny Galladay's banged up. Sterling Shepard, he's banged up. So, they don't have a lot of options for Daniel Jones, and they should go all in. And when you look at the Seahawks, they could probably use another corner. You're also helping out the Giants by getting it off the books. So here's what the trade ends up looking like from Tim. The Giants get DK. The Seahawks get Bradberry. You're going to have to take on his contract. And the 7th overall pick. I think that the Seahawks win this deal. I personally, if I was the Giants, I wouldn't do it. But what do you guys have to say? Who wins the trade? If you think it's the New York Giants, type NYG. Yes, you're getting an unbelievably talented receiver in DK Metcalf. But you're giving up the number 7 overall pick. And sure, you're also getting rid of Bradberry, which saves you money. I would want something in return. I would want an extra pick or something back. I'm going to go ahead and type my SCA, but you guys can let me know who ends up winning this trade. Jared Sanchez, you're next up. Should the Steelers draft Desmond Ridder at 20? It depends who else is available, right? I mean, I would rather take Malik Willis. I would rather have Kenny Pickett. I would rather have Sam Howell. I'd rather have Matt Corral. If all 4 of those quarterbacks are off the board and the Steelers absolutely have to take a quarterback, then sure, you could look into it. I would rather have Mitch Trubisky than Desmond Ridder, and that's just where I personally stand. If the Pittsburgh Steelers actually want to be able to compete in that division, you have Mitch, you need to put more talented pieces around him, whether it's an extra wide receiver, whether that's building that offensive line a little bit more, or just retooling that defense, because that division is legit, and Desmond Ridder is not going to help you win that division. Pelicans Nola, how much would it take for the Saints to move up to number 5? So what, you got pick 16, you got pick 19. On the trade value chart, you'd have to move up 16, 19, and then a 3rd round pick to get up to 5. So both your first rounders and maybe even a 2nd round pick to get up to number 5. You got to move a lot. 3rd round pick's probably how it be. So both your first and a 3rd to get up to number 5. It's kind of interesting if you're the New York Giants, because now you have 3 first-round picks. If I was the Giants, I would love to go ahead and move back. Sean, the RC mechanic, could the Falcons trade up to number 1 and draft Aiden Hutchinson? Could they do it? Sure. But, for you to go from 8 to get all the way up to 1, you're going to trade this year's first, this year's second, and then probably next year's first and next year's second on top of that, and that still might not even be enough. You got to think how much value that number 1 overall pick is. Yeah, I think you're giving up. You're probably even have to give up on even more, dude. Think of, is that really what you want to give up? An 8, a second, and then next year's first and second as well, just to go up 7 spots. Aiden Hutchinson is a good player, but the only way I'm giving up that much draft capital is if you go get a quarterback. And not that I don't like any of the quarterbacks in this year's class. I do. I like Malik Willis. He's a good player. I'm not going to give up that much draft capital for a team who, let's face it, they're not in win-now mode. When you look at the Falcons roster from top to bottom, I actually think that they might be the worst overall roster in the National Football League. So you should save those picks and then retool and build on both sides of the football. Guys, we are also live on Rumble. So not only do we go live on YouTube, we also go live on Rumble as well. And over there, we can be uncut. We can be uncensored. And if you're like, you know what, Mitch, I don't need the uncut. I don't need the uncensored. Well, do you like extra videos? Because I don't know about you, I personally do. So if you're looking for extra videos from the Chat Sports crew, go ahead, give us a follow on Rumble at rumble.com/NFL Daily. For whatever reason you can't remember that link, I'm going to be nice. I'm going to put it down in the comments section. It's also going to be in the description. And hell, guess what? It's also in the live chat as well. So all you got to do is click it and then go ahead and give us a follow. Let's go to the next one. Super chat time for Dwayne Porter. What up, my brother? With what the Raiders did this offseason, predict their record next year. Dwayne, it's a tough question because you still got the NFL draft. The Raiders aren't done in free agency, and there's a lot that can happen, especially after June 1st, when the Raiders get about $20 million from letting go of Corey Littleton and letting go of Carl Nassib. But as it stands right now, I will say that the Raiders go ahead and they win 10 games. And it's not because I don't think that they've improved. I do think that they've improved. But the Broncos drastically improved. The Chargers got better. Sure, the Chiefs have taken a step back, but they're still going to be a legit team. I think there's way too many Raider fans sleeping on the idea of how good the Broncos can actually be with Russell Wilson. But I'll say 10-7 right now. We got Onyx, that G. Should the Saints draft a quarterback in 2022? My vote's going to be no. And not that I'm crazy about Jameis Winston, but last season Jameis Winston was good enough to get you to go to 5-2. And I look at the Carolina Panthers, they're not going to be anything I'm worried about. I look at the Atlanta Falcons, they're not anything I'd be worried about. The only team that you need to be worried about is Tampa Bay in that division in terms of winning it. If there's been a team that's given Tom Brady and the Buccaneers struggles over the past few years, it's been the New Orleans Saints. They literally shut them out last season. So I would save those draft picks and invest them into another wide receiver, another solid a replacement for Teron Armstead, a extra guy on offense, maybe somebody who can fill in for Alvin Kamara. Hell, on the defensive side of the football, finding a replacement for Malcolm Jenkins. I understand quarterback is the splashy move, or you wait until next year's draft. I don't know, just an idea. If any big-time news or rumors happen, guys, we got you covered here at Chat Sports. The entire team, we take a lot of pride in being able to keep you guys up to date. I remember just a few years ago, it was literally me, Tom, Brett, and James. There was four people here at Chat Sports. Now, we got a whole group of y'all out there. Why? Because we're dedicated, we're committed to giving you guys up-to-date news and rumors that we know y'all love. So if you want an awesome kick-ass team providing you updates, hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. Super chat coming in here from Sauce730. If I saw a Sauce730, I would consider that like a spicy level for tacos. If you guys were on a menu and you saw Sauce730, what type of sauce would it be? I don't know. Could the Ravens draft a wide receiver at 14? Could they? Of course, right? I mean, anybody can pick a player. It's just, I don't see that being the route that they go. You have Duvernay, who I'm not 100% crazy about, but you got Hollywood Brown. You have Rashad Bateman. I would build the offensive line. I would try to find a center. If Tyler Linderbaum's there at 14, for whatever reason, Linderbaum's starting to fall down draft boards, I would take Tyler Linderbaum in a flash at 14 if I was the Ravens. I think he'd be a good fit there. Maybe you can also go ahead and upgrade the offensive line at some other key positions. A cornerback, do you think Marcus Peters is going to be healthy? And even if he is, you want to pay him $15 million. Maybe Derek Stingley's there at 14. An extra edge rusher I never think is a bad idea either. I'm going to say yes, you can draft a receiver at 14 because building around Lamar is not a bad idea. But I don't think it's the biggest need for the Ravens. Miguel, you're next up here on NFL Daily. Appreciate the question. Will the Bills trade up for a legit cornerback? I don't see them trading up for a legit cornerback, and it depends, like, who would you actually trade up for, right? Like, the only two corners that I would trade up for in this year's draft are Derek Stingley and Sauce. And both of those guys I see going in the top 12. And for Buffalo to go that high, they're not going to get them. However, you could potentially see a corner like, I don't know, Trent McDuffie. Maybe Kyler Gordon falls a little bit. Maybe Elam. Maybe Andrew Booth. There's some other players out there that I'd be very intrigued by. And if you want to go out for a freak athlete, Tariq Woolen from UTSA is one of my favorite prospects out there right now. All right, y'all, so we're talking about cornerbacks. How many corners get drafted in round one? usually, and I try to diagnose each position by my top players, I could see 4 cornerbacks going in round 1. I'd probably set the over-under at 4.5, though that seems high, maybe 3.5, because I see Stingley, I see Sauce, and I see Trent McDuffie all going in round 1. And then after that, it does get a little bit interesting. So let's say 3.5. That would be the over-under. Let me know how many corners get drafted in the first round of the 2022 NFL Draft. More corner questions coming in. This one's from Jackson Cortez. Sauce Gardner or Derek Stingley, if both are available at number 12 for the Vikings, who are you taking? I'm going to take Sauce, and I just don't think Ahmad Gardner is going to be there at number 12. I think Stingley's the more likely guy that you could end up getting. But Gardner, to me, is long, he's lanky, he's physical. He brings all the intangibles that you're looking for in a corner. Not that Stingley doesn't, but I think that Stingley might actually have a higher ceiling than Gardner, but Gardner's floor is a little bit lower, and the amount of swings and misses that Minnesota has had at the cornerback position over the past few seasons, I'm going to go with a player who I think is a lock, and that's Sauce. Steven, appreciate the super chat, my dog. Could the Seahawks end up trading away DK Metcalf? And if they did, do the Hawks have any chance of success this season? This might hurt your feelings a little bit. If you traded away Russell Wilson, I don't think that the team actually thinks that they're trying to win right now. Personally, I think Russell Wilson, and we've mentioned this 100 times at the Chat Sports Studios, has been one of the biggest Band-Aids in the NFL. And what do I mean by that? Pete Carroll over the past few seasons, that entire Seahawks team, they haven't really been that talented of a team, minus Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, and Russell Wilson. The offensive line's been bad. The defense hasn't been anything great. Their draft picks have definitely not been good whatsoever. A lot of reaches in the first round. And Russell's been good enough to kind of Band-Aid it up, patch it over, and get by. I mean, you're looking at the worst team in that division, hands down. They've now finally have extra draft capital, but if you move away from DK Metcalf, sure, like you're not going to do anything. However, if I was Seattle, I would trade away DK if you don't plan on paying him and just trying to get extra draft picks, trying to get extra picks for the future, and then you try to go ahead and win now. All right, y'all, if you haven't already, go ahead and give me a follow on Instagram. I'm at Mitchell Renz 365, and if I missed today's questions, we get a lot of them in there. I'm sorry about that. I just saw a super chat coming from MAG with $2. No question. MAJ, if you want to get your question on the show, seriously, just put it on there. Or if you're just donating, we appreciate you. All right, it's time to get going here. Name a late-round sleeper prospect that you like. A prospect that you're like, man, this guy, he might go in the 5th round. He might go in the 6th round, but he could be a really, really special player. My late-round sleeper prospect, and he's not really much of a sleeper anymore, has been Marcus Jones, the cornerback from Houston. He's fun. He's electric. Though I could see him going a little bit higher in the draft. Troy Anderson was one of my other guys, though. He's starting to get a lot of buzz. Name a late-round prospect that you do like a lot. Very vocals. I did a mock draft for Miami, and these 3 players were available. Logan Hall, Quay Walker, and Kerby Joseph. Who would you pick? So the Dolphins don't have a 1st or a 2nd. They have overall, I believe, it's like, what, pick 102? I'm just going to go with the player that I like the most. Not that I'm not crazy about Kerby Joseph, but safety's not the biggest need for Miami. Logan Hall's a good player. He can play inside and outside. I'm going to go Quay Walker. I have Quay Walker as a top 40 prospect, really good linebacker from Georgia, so I'll go with Quay Walker. Toxic Tom Downey burner. So does Dan Snyder survive another scandal? I don't have a good answer for that. I definitely think that Dan Snyder might have a rabbit's foot or two. But in terms of going into this question a little bit more, I don't have a great answer for you.